Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12.
News at 12.
In the local scene, the Provincial Education Department is reinforcing efforts to build a more inclusive and responsive education system in Albay by strengthening internal alignment of personnel roles. Department Head Dr. Jeremy A. Cruz said employees must clearly understand and reassess their duties to effectively carry out the department's mandate. He said the initiative supports the implementation of education reforms under the provincial government's education agenda. Cruz said employees were convened to review their functions to ensure clearer direction and coordination within the department. He emphasizes the productivity, excellence, and discipline as core values guiding the department's work in public education service. Officials said the initiative aims to improve efficiency and strengthen education service delivery across the province. In other story, 11 local government units in Albay have earned Level 1 certification for adolescent-friendly health facilities, expanding access to youth-focused healthcare services across the province. The certified areas include the cities of Tabaco, Ligao, and Legazpi, along with the municipalities of Tiwi, Malinao, Bacacay, Ginubatan, Manito, Kamalig, Libon, and Pulangi. The certification confirms compliance with national standards for delivering adolescent health services in local facilities. These services cover reproductive health, mental health, and other key health needs of young people in both urban and rural communities. The initiative aims to ensure adolescents have access to confidential and appropriate healthcare services in their areas. Provincial officials said the program strengthens safe and supportive health environments for young people across Albay. In other news, the Provincial Education Department is rolling out Albay Eduk Action 2030 as a long-term roadmap to guide education development in the province. The framework aims to align programs and initiatives towards sustained improvements in learning outcomes. Albay Eduk Action 2030 stands for Albay towards education for accelerating knowledge and the skills for youth and others nurturing. The plan will be presented to stakeholders from various sectors for consultation and refinement. The department will also review its vision, mission, and core values to ensure alignment with priority education programs. Officials said the roadmap aims to support more inclusive and focused education reforms for learners across the province. In the national scene, the House Justice Committee is set to continue hearings on the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte on Tuesday, April 14, after the Supreme Court did not issue a temporary restraining order. Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon said the panel will review evidence related to alleged misuse of confidential funds and supposed threats against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his family. Lawmakers are also expected to examine the affidavit of Ramil Modriaga, described as Duterte's alleged associate, focusing on its details and credibility. Officials from the Commission on Audit and the Philippine Statistics Authority will be invited to clarify findings, including questions on how confidential funds were used and whether listed recipients actually exist. Justice Committee Chair Gerville Luisto said the hearings will only clarify evidence and documents, stressing that full questioning and cross-examination will take place later if the case proceeds to a Senate trial. In other story, the Malacanang Press Corps denied claims that it is controlled or paid by the palace, saying its reports are based on facts and reliable sources. The group issued a statement following online rumors that photos and videos of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. were altered to hide his supposed poor health or alleged death. Journalists said they strongly reject accusations that they are being used to cover up the president's real condition and stressed that their duty to report truthfully. They also pointed out that their coverage is based on direct observation and verified information, unlike some social media content that may rely on speculation and unclear motives. The press corps urged the public to stay critical, check sources carefully, and trust responsible journalism as they continue to report fairly on the president's actions and policies. In other news, fire incidents across the Philippines rose by 28% in the first quarter of 2026, reaching 4,092 cases compared to 3,184 in the same period last year, according to the Bureau of Fire Protection. Despite the increase in cases, fire-related deaths fell by 18% from 122 to 100, while total damage also went down by 19.28%. to 2.15 pesos or 2.15 billion pesos from 2.66 billion pesos. Electrical fires remained the top cause nationwide but dropped to 1,281 cases from 1,503, while open flame incidents increased to 861. Fires from embers and sparks declined to 342. Structural fires went up by 29.2% to 3,646 cases, while vehicular fires were recorded at 446 incidents. In Metro Manila, fire incidents fell by 20% to 721 cases, and deaths dropped sharply from 47 to 13, although total damage rose by 34% to 681.1 million pesos, with open flame becoming the leading cause over electrical fires. During the Holy Week, fire incidents increased to 566 cases, even as damage fell to 133.3 billion pesos, while fire safety inspections dropped by 30% to 705,113, with authorities continuing to remind the public to follow fire safety rules. And in the news outside the country, rescue operations continued in Beirut despite Lebanon's National Day of Mourning, as teams kept searching through debris across areas affected by recent strikes. Lebanese health authorities said Israeli strikes killed 303 people and injured 1,150, while hospitals in the capital reported a sharp rise in admissions, including civilians and children. The clashes between Israel and Hezbollah have escalated alongside disputes over a reported ceasefire involving Iran and the United States, with fighting increasing since March and causing large-scale displacement. Humanitarian conditions in parts of Lebanon have deteriorated with damaged infrastructure, limited access to supplies in some areas, and thousands of residents staying in temporary shelters or vehicles. Diplomatic discussions involving Lebanese and Israeli representatives are expected in Washington, though major disagreements over security arrangements and armed groups remain unresolved. In other story, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Syria earlier this month, meeting Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara in Damascus as both sides moved to rebuild relations after years of tension. Zelensky said the talks focused on improving security, boosting development, and expanding cooperation on food supplies, energy needs, and infrastructure challenges. The two countries also agreed to restore diplomatic ties that were cut in 2022 after Syria's previous leadership recognized Russian-backed breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine, with plans to reopen embassies in Kiev and Damascus. Analysts described the shift as a major geopolitical change, saying Syria's traditional alignment with Russia is weakening, while Ukraine is expanding its diplomatic reach in the Middle East. Officials and experts also pointed to food security as a key issue, noting concerns over grain flows in the region and Ukraine's push to stop the resale of grain said was taken from occupied areas. They added that possible cooperation could extend to military technology, demining, and rebuilding energy systems, though some areas remain sensitive due to regional security concerns and differing international interests. And finally, in the news outside the country, police in London arrested 523 people on Saturday during a protest in Trafalgar Square, where demonstrators showed support for the banned group Palestine Action. The group was outlawed as a terrorist organization in July, making it a crime to support it, although the High Court later ruled the ban may have interfered with free speech and legal challenges are ongoing. Organizers and protesters said they were opposing government policy and defending peaceful protest, arguing that arrests were part of a wider crackdown on civil liberties. Since the ban was introduced, nearly 3,000 people have been detained, while rights groups or more likely Amnesty International have criticized the arrests and said they raise serious concerns about freedom of expression. That's the news at 12, April 13, 2026. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to all our news writers, Naomi Ruth Hernandez and LG Lurejo. And on the technical side, Chad Borbis. And our Provincial Information Officer, OIC, Maury Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel E. Rosal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing Albay in my heart.